Well, for more on the situation in Beirut, I'm joined by our chief foreign editor, Robert Parsons. And Rob, Lebanese people were already really exasperated with government corruption even before this explosion. We did see some small demonstrations in Beirut last night. How long do you think before this becomes an all-out revolution in Lebanon?
Well, you're right, Laura. Last year, there were huge demonstrations across Lebanon. And one of the things that was interesting about them is that they were across the sectarian divisions that rift Lebanese society. Class didn't seem to count. Religion didn't seem to count. There was just a generalized feeling that something had to be done to change the political order. That feeling, that anger that motivated people last year has been increased 1,000-fold by what has happened over the last few days, by that horrific explosion in the center of Beirut. We saw a relatively small demonstration last night in Beirut, which was pushed back by the use of tear gas by the Lebanese authorities. But the likelihood will surely be that as the situation grows worse in Lebanon, as food becomes shorter, as it surely will, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, grain silo in the country was destroyed in the fire and the explosion. Things are going to get very much worse. Unemployment is already extremely high. 1 in 3 Lebanese people are out of work. The number of people who are characterized as being beneath the poverty line is likely to go to 75% of the population by the end of this year. And when people see that the political system is doing nothing or next to nothing to change the situation and reform a system that has led to this outcome, this appalling outcome, the frustration is certain to grow. And the demonstrations that we saw last year are almost certain to be repeated, perhaps on an even bigger scale this year, as frustration with the ruling class in Lebanon grows stronger.
And President Macron was in Beirut yesterday and he called for a new political order in Lebanon. Several days after the blast, Lebanon's leaders are finally speaking. President Al-Amin has talked about the possibility of external interference causing that explosion. And we will hear from the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, who will speak this afternoon.
Yeah, well, that statement by President Al-Amin, I don't think is going to help very much. That's going to encourage people to think that the government is looking for excuses, that they're trying to get away from the central issue here of corruption, criminal negligence, irresponsibility, and a refusal to accept that. People are not going to be happy when President Al-Amin, who is at the center and has been at the center of this political system for decades now, as indeed has the Speaker of Parliament, Nabi Berri. This is not, excuse me, this is not what people want to hear. And when Hassan Nasrallah speaks, excuse me, this afternoon, it'll be very interesting what he has to say. He was very critical of the demonstrations last year because they wanted to break with the sectarian political system that has defined Lebanon over the last few decades. Will he come out in favor of that political system? Will he come out against demonstrations? He is a man who stands to lose if the political system is reformed, as people are demanding on the streets. As they demanded indeed to President Macron whilst he was on the streets yesterday, saying that they want the entire political system to be changed, something he himself called for when he said a new political order was needed. What Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, has to say this afternoon will be very interesting.
Rob, thank you very much. Rob Parsons there.